Okay, this morning we're going to be dividing trinomials by a binomial, and this is very similar to what you did long division in the past. I want to do a review, so get out your whiteboard. Write this down to do it. On your marks. Get set. Go. Stop the video right now and do this problem. All right, whenever you're going to do this problem, you always put the first one on the inside and the second one on the outside. We're actually going to do something like this with algebra steps today. And I'm going to move it over here so I have a little more room. We ask ourselves, 23 goes into 24 how many times? And it goes in one time, and we write it above its like term there in a sense. And then we multiply. 1 times 23 is 23. Then we subtract. This process you had to learn to be able to do long division. We subtract, and I'm going to get 1. The next step is to bring down. Bring down your 6. Then we ask ourselves again, 23 goes into 16 how many times? It's not big enough, so we have 0. We multiply, and we get 0. We could just then bring down again. And we ask ourselves, 23 goes into 161 how many times? And it is 7 times. We multiply, and we get 161, and we subtract, and we're going to get 0. Today, when we divide, you will always get 0 as a remainder. That way you'll know you got them right. This won't always be the case, but today it will. Today, though, you will be using variables when you do your long division. Let's do some together. Make sure you get your note sheets out. This is 714. Make sure you take good notes. Let's do these together. All right, I have this one here, and we're going to do the same concept we had a moment ago. We're going to have our division symbol, and we're going to put the first one on the inside, 10n squared plus 81n minus 81. I want you to give yourself a little note, though. Under here and on the outside also, this needs to be in standard form. That means we need to have the n squareds first, the not squareds second, and the constant needs to be last. They need to be in order. We also need to have this one in standard form with the constant being last, n plus 9 here. We're now going to ask ourselves, n times what gives me 10n squared, or divide 10n squared by n. And we will get 10n. And we're going to write it above our like term. We now multiply. To multiply, this time we're going to do the distributive property. 10n times 9 is 90n. And it's positive. So 10n times n is going to be 10n squared. If you did this right, these two should be exactly the same. Now we're going to subtract. Subtracting is going to be a little bit, not different, but we're going to write it just so that we can subtract both of them, because that distributed. So I'm putting a negative on both of them. These will cancel always. I need you to write yourself a little note that says must cancel. And then we have this one right here will become negative 9n, and then we bring down just like before. We do the same thing we did before. n times what gives me negative 9n? And that will be negative 9. We're writing it above its like term. We now distribute. I'll have negative 81 and negative 9n. We will now subtract. Subtracting just means changing the sign. We will get a 0 for our answer. This week, as you're doing them, all of these will have a 0 remainder. And our answer is 10n minus 9. Let's do another one. We're going to put this underneath the division. The long, or the first one goes here. In standard form, we bring down this one here and put it in standard form, n minus 10. We ask ourselves, n times what gives me 6n squared? And that will be 6n, and we put it above its like term. We distribute. That will be negative 60n. Distribute. That will be 6n squared. Remember, I told you that these will be the same, so that when we change the signs to subtract, these will cancel. This becomes 7n, and bring down negative 70. We ask ourselves, n goes into 7n how many times? It goes in 7n times, and it's positive. Excuse me. It goes in 7 times, and it's positive. We're going to distribute. 7 times negative 70, is negative 10 is negative 70, and 7 times n is 7n. We're going to change the symbols to subtract, and we will get a 0 for our remainder, and here is our answer. Let's do another one. All right, we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to put the first one inside, but I want you to notice that it's not in standard form. We need to rearrange it. We need the k squared first, or the highest exponent to be first. The next one down, and the constant to be last. We're going to bring that one down also in standard form. We're going to put the k first so that the constant will be last. So you need to rearrange it. All right. We ask ourselves the same questions. K times what gives me 8k squared? And that is 8k. Distribute will be positive 80k. 8 times k is going to be 8k squared. We're going to change the sign. So these will cancel. This here becomes positive 6k. Bring down plus 60. Excuse me. We ask ourselves k times what gives me 6k? And that's going to be plus or positive 6. We distribute. I'm going to get 60. And distribute again. I will get 6k. Notice it's the same thing again, so that when I subtract, everything cancels and I get a 0 remainder. and 8k plus 6 is the correct answer. I'm going to challenge you right now to pause the video and try number 4 without me and come back and see if you did it correctly. Try this. Go ahead and pause it. Welcome back. We're going to put this one inside. The first one always goes inside. We're going to have standard form says we have the b squared first, the 9b second, and the 8 last. And we put this in standard form right there, b plus 8. We ask ourselves, b times what gives me b squared? And that is just plain old b. Distribute 8b plus b squared. Change, so these will cancel. Subtract here and I'll get just 1b. And bring down my 8. This is the one to make sure you don't mess this up. B times what gives me b, and you must say plus 1. It's not nothing, it's 1. And we distribute 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times b is b. Change. And 0 is our remainder. So b plus 1 is our answer. You have learned how to divide a trinomial by a monomial. I hope this has been helpful.